Okay, welcome to the Volcap tutorial. This is a tricky one to explain because we'd like to do it in a Volcap, but we can't do a Volcap of a Volcap. So this is a video just to show you the main features, and we're going to do a Volcap and we're going to replay it and show off some of the features, and then you can try it yourself. So then what we have to do is look at the controller, the left controller, and if we click on the pencil, we get volumetric capture. And if I open that, I get this window here. Now this window allows us to control the audio source and start the volumetric capture. It's good to put this out of the way so it's not in your way, and it won't show at all when you replay the Volcap. And basically what a Volcap will do, whatever you do in this immersive VR world, it will record that and replay it in volumetric form as 3 dimensions. And you can move around and you'll see me talking during the volumetric capture. So it'll be a bit strange because you'll actually have me narrating this instructional tutorial, and I will also be in the instructional tutorial which you have just seen, and I'll be replaying that. So what you'll see in your top left of this video window is what I am actually looking at, because some of the features you won't be able to see unless you look in the top left, because they are not shown in the audience view, because you might want to replay the Volcap to an audience and switch between different views, and there are more complex views than there are normally. So we'll come back to that in a bit. So what we're going to do, it's going to check here. If I just see there is a microphone here which is on the headset, but that tends to have a lot of plosive sounds. So I have a separate wireless mic which is a bit better, and I'm going to choose that, and that's attached here. There could be other cameras you have. You have to look for the right audio microphones that you have. You have to look for the right audio source in the list and select that. You might have to go into SteamVR and choose the audio source and play with it to get the best volume. So once you can see here, I've got an indication that this mic is working. I'm just going to move this down out the way here, and I'm going to say start. And now I've started the volumetric capture. Nothing has changed, but now it's recording everything that I do. So we're going to be able to replay this. All I'm going to quickly do is just open a timeline. We see a timeline here, and I'm going to play the video. So there we can play the video. I could open up any of the other tools like the comic creator, slide presenter, drawing, recam, mirror camera, whatever, and animation, keyframe sequencer, and it will remember those and replay those in 3 dimensions. Okay, so maybe I'll just open an object here. For example, if I go to import, I can import anything. Let's take a 3D object. We have a backpack here. I'm going to open that, and there we are. We have a backpack that I can bring closer to me and say I'll move it just there. So I'm going to stop the Volcap now, and we're going to replay it. So if you just click stop, that's now saved, and we can save this analysis version if we wanted, but we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is import the volumetric capture. And under volumetric capture, you'll see there's a folder here with the date and time of when we just made. This is the one we've just made, and I can click that, and any time in the future in this project, as long as I don't delete it, I can load it back up. And I'm going to do that now. And it asks you, do you want to do without, you could lose some changes you wanted. I'm going to say no changes. And then we get this window, which is the playback. And notice now we have an avatar head here, which has controllers like ours, but this one is blue. This is a blue head. And myself here, this is what I'm looking at. We have different views that I'll show in a moment, where we'll see that I have a green head as well as a green raycast, this green line. And this is about the total time of that little Volcap we made is 1 minute, and the current time is 00 because we haven't started playing back. And we're going to play it back and then see some of the things that are happening, and then change the views, because you can record everything that you do in AVA360VR and play it back. And you can move around. You can just move yourself like this, as I'm doing. And you also have, if you see here on the controller, it says use teleport. And if you press that, you'll see this green dot appearing where you can move a certain distance. For example, I could move over to this side, and now I can look back and see that person, which is me in the past. And I can do it again and move back. So I'm on this side. I can move forward and turn around and look at myself from the front, and then go behind myself again. So I can move anywhere I want in this. So what we're going to do is we're going to start playing now and see what happens. And what we're going to see is what I did just a few minutes ago, playing back. Start. And now I've started the volumetric capture. Nothing has changed, but now it's recording everything that I do. So we're going to be able to replay this. All I'm going to quickly do is just open a timeline. We see it. So there, you noticed I opened the timeline. That's exactly what I did. I'm talking about it. I'm pointing at it. Everything is being recorded, and I can move around. For example, I can move over here. I can move over here. I can move anywhere I want to see another view of what's going on. You can't go backwards in time, and you can't go jump forwards. It's a linear playback. It's a little bit trickier to be able to do that, jumping around and scrubbing. So instead we are playing linearly, exactly as things unfold. And all you can do is play, pause, or leave the playback. So now we're currently in AVA360VR, watching me in the past using the tools in AVA360VR. But not only that, and I can carry on playing if I wanted. You see there, I just shrunk it back a little bit, and that's just showing the playback, and in a moment it will play the video exactly as I did. We can also bring up any of these tools ourselves, and there's some restrictions, but we have quite a lot of flexibility to be able to change audio levels, to bring up other videos that aren't in the actual original capture, to bring up transcripts or different versions of the transcript, to do a whole range of things, import all sorts of objects, images, while this is playing. And I'll just illustrate that. For example, we could import here. What do you have to notice sometimes that the windows don't quite appear where they are meant to appear. So here I can choose image, choose this one, and there I've got the image. My head is here. I'll just go back a little bit. Now I'm behind myself, and I can have this image here. I can manipulate this in the middle of the replay. I could also bring up, for example, I'm just going to have to move here again to find a 2D or a 360, for example. Let's say I want to look at, there aren't many other choices here in this. Maybe there's an audio. No. I could open up the same video, and there it is. This is a mini 360 sphere. You can look at the tutorial about importing the 360. This is in fact the same video, and I can jump into that and jump out again. Where if this could be any other 360 camera in the scene, and there are a number of 360 cameras, then I can actually, while we're playing, and when it will play, this will play as the other one plays, and I can decide whether I want to mute this or change the volume level. So let's just try that here. I'm going to play the video. So there we can play the video. I could open up any of the other. You saw there that the video was playing on the mini sphere. I'm just going to get behind myself here. Sometimes you get a little confused because you are, at this point I am myself looking at myself. It's a little easier when there's somebody else has made a Volcap and you're replaying it. So this is the volumetric playback. This is a tool in the original capture. This is in the new playback, and this is in the new playback. So I can get rid of these if I want to. And I can bring up other tools as well. For example, I might want to do a keyframe sequence. Yeah, some of these are not working so well. They're jumping around a lot. Let me just see if there's another thing that will open up. The recam. Again, yeah, so some tools don't work so well with the replay, but many of the tools do, and you have to experiment to find out which ones will work. You're not completely free to do everything you want with the tools, but you can bring up a few other things and manipulate them. Okay, so that's the basics of Volcap and replay. We've also got what the audience see. And what you'll probably notice is when I twist my controller, which is what you normally do to see different views for the audience, when you're not doing a replay, you're going to get extra functions on this. And if you look in the top left, you'll be able to see that I can actually see my headset here. If I press, then you'll get an over-the-shoulder view, which is like an over-the-shoulder of the over-the-shoulder. I'm looking over my shoulder while I look over the shoulder of myself in the past. So it's a little bit like time travel in some way. I am looking at listening to myself talk about something in the past and watching what all the actions that I do. But if I click again, you get a camera. And if I grab that camera and move it, and you'll see on the main shot, you're now looking at a camera view of our two heads, because this static camera, and I can pick it up and move it like this so I can see, is showing us because it's pointing at us. And you can see in the top right, top left, you'll be able to see that there is a yellow camera there that I'm manipulating, but it's not shown to the audience. So you can actually decide to see a view, and you can change that. If I click to the different views, I can zoom that camera in and make it larger. I can move it backwards and forwards, and I can also twist it so I can get a better shot. For example, that might be a better shot of us two in relation to each other. I am the green head, the blue head is me in the past. If I play, you'll now see that head comic creator, slide presenter, also talk. And if I look again at the view, the camera view port for the audience, I can also get another camera, so I can have a second view. For example, looking down from up above, just to get the right angle. Now you can see us both. There's the tools. So we've got another view, and if I click again, this is the view of me originally, in this case, of the recorder, whoever the Volcapper was. If I play, you'll see that is exactly what I saw at that particular time. Keyframe sequencer, and it will remember. So if I now click once more, I get a quad view, which is showing in the top left the original view from the Volcapper. In the top right, as you see, is my view. In the bottom left is the first static camera we had, and in the bottom right is the second static camera. So this is rather complex, and there are the two cameras. I can move those, so I can pick them up by gripping them and get a bit of, you can see that changing, and I can also take this camera and readjust it, and you'll see that changing as well. Let's put it like that, so you get some idea of the use of the tools. And so this is for the audience. If I go back to my headset. This is what I see. Third person, free camera 1, free camera 2, recorder's perspective, and then the quad view, which shows 4 of those different views together. And if I just play for a bit, you'll see and replay. Now you're having 4 different views on the same scene that was captured. I'll just open an object here, and you have an infinite number of possibilities of where to put the camera, where to position yourself, to be able to follow along with a Volcap. And that's how we made all of the Volcap tutorials. We have made those tutorials, and then we also derive some videos from them by playing them back in particular ways, so allowing you to view just the video. But in the Volcap, you actually can move around. I can move very close. For example, here I am next to me, looking at the controls as I am touching a particular part of the touchpad and getting certain tools coming up. I can see my controls. I can watch, as for example, if I go to I am choosing import, and there's the import window that came up. You can see I can also decide myself to take a quick look at a few things before I do something. So there's certain flexibility in how I can interfere in a recording from the past. If you do certain things, you will corrupt things. Things will go a little bit haywire, and some things don't seem to work quite the same way. But there's a lot of potential for exploration about that. You also can change the master volume because you still have a volume here, so I can adjust the volume for myself in the scene itself that's recorded. The Volcap can adjust the volume, and so you might have a tug of war between the two different volumes. You can also toggle audio sources, so if there is another view that's open, that you've opened, you can decide that I want to mute that, which wasn't muted in the original. There's a lot of interesting possibilities for you working with opening transcripts, opening synced 2D and 360 objects, and then getting an alternative perspective on, say, an analysis that is emerging. Okay, this is a very, very powerful tool, and maybe you've managed to follow along with some of the possibilities here. I'm going to stop here with this volumetric capture. If I leave the playback now, you'll see what will happen. We return to the very plain view. We're back now in full control. I could do another volumetric capture, and I can also import that one. If I go to here, that is the volumetric capture that we loaded up earlier. So it's very possible to make a volumetric capture and try out yourself all the possibilities and see what you can make of such a very powerful tool.